2024, I would say, there have been almost 127,000 startups that had been officially recognized by the government of India.
Freelancing is a bigger thing for you or switching companies?
I actually landed up into UX accidentally.
This one word, man, networking.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how huge the market is.
So hello everyone, today it's my biggest UX podcast. Today we have Supriya from India. She has been biggest UX writer from India, working at Microsoft and also as a freelancer. We have Sagar, who has worked at startups in Silicon Valley, and we will talk about, is it true that UX is dying? Because we just saw the tweet by Arthur that UX design market is dying. If you don't evolve with it, you'll be left in the dark. So first of all, let's start with a roundtable of intros.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So my name is Sagar. So I'm currently a senior UX designer in the United States working in one of the MNCs. I'm currently designing for sales and marketing products. In my past, I have worked with a couple of startups in the Bay Area. Also, I did my master's in human-computer interaction from Indiana University. So since then, yeah, it's been on a crazy UX journey.
I have been a UX writer for more than a decade now, and I have worked with startups as well as in different domains like fintech, healthcare, oil and gas, and currently I'm into software products. So yeah, that's briefly about me.
Awesome. First of all, how you all got into UX experience? Were you all engineers before?
I'm not an engineer. So I had done my graduation in microbiology, and then I did my post-graduation in business administration, that is MBA in HR. So two very different fields, but I ended up into UX. So it was like I was, for my couple of initial years, I was into HR field. And to quickly tell you my story that I was working as an HR with a startup company, and we were hiring a content writer then, but we couldn't find one. So I just offered to write the landing page content. Because it is a startup, you get to play multiple roles, So that's how I did my content thing. And that's when I realized, I can write the content as well. And it was very creative and challenging field. So I found it more interesting than, my HR job. And that's when I decided that I will move into content writing. And then eventually I got into UX field. And then I started working as a content strategist, then UX writer, content designer. So yeah, that's how my journey into UX writing.
Incredible. And kabhi aapne socha tha, I think Sagar said you have inspired him a lot to get into UX and especially to know about the job market. And are you comfortable with sharing the numbers? Oh, insane. This is so inspiring. That also like 5-6 years ago when Sagar was getting into UX, right? Yeah. And this is, no one had thought about that UX market is that big in India. So what about Sagar?
So first of all, I did computer engineering as everyone does. I mean, I had no clue what I wanted. So I did my computer engineering from DY Patil in India, in Bombay. And from there, I started working on some software engineering roles. That's when I kind of realized that this is not for me. As a kid, I'm really curious. I really like learning, and I'm very empathetic towards others. So I think software coding was not something I could do. So and also there was lack of awareness about UX. I had no clue what UX was. So I did some research online. Went online, checked some universities, and I got to know that there is some masters called as Masters in Human-Computer Interaction, and their syllabus was super amazing for me. And I was thought, I should, this is the right time. If I am wanting to do something, I should definitely make a switch. And that's how I ended up in UX. And again, one of the first iPhones, the iPhone 2G I got and, got access to, I started using, I fell in love with UX, the way it helps me do my things. And, it was just magical. And that was also one of the biggest reasons I got into UX.
Incredible. So when you were getting into UX, like why not India? Because especially you talked to Supriya at the time and you were in India when iPhone was launched. So why not India?
I think there was definitely lack of awareness among people about UX down in 2016. I'm talking about 2016. I had no clue what UX was. I mean, I I knew that I need to be customer focused, but I never got a chance to look at any of the. So I think at that time, I think more graphic designing was in play in India, and that's how I ended up in US. If there was this kind of awareness and an exposure, I wouldn't have ended up in US. I would have just
And
started my career in India. Yeah.
totally. And at that time in college, I had never heard, like in colleges in India, there's a UX design course, even like human computer interaction course you talked about, like the
I
masters
had
in HCI.
I had one in Mumbai University. It was an elective, and I had took it, and that's how also I got exposed to human computer interaction. That was the only keyword I typed on Google when I got to know what human computer interaction is, and then I got a list of master's degrees. So
So there was subject, but not like a degree in it, right?
not really.
Okay. And how about you, Supriya? Like, how big is the market of UX in India? And how
Oh,
many clients are like American or outside India for you?
So yeah, I mean, I would say the market is expanding rapidly in India across various sectors and there are mainly two reasons I would say. First is, of course, businesses are recognizing the value of providing exceptional user experiences, and second is growing startup culture in India, I would say. So even when I was introduced to UX field some 8 years back, till then I was into content writing and SEO, digital marketing and all. So that time UX was quite new, I would say, very new. Even I didn't know that there is something called UX. But I have seen that the scope has increased and it is increasing rapidly now. So I know that from 2016 to 2024, I would say there have been almost 127,000 startups that had been officially recognized by the government of India. So you can imagine how huge the market is. And so definitely there is a growing demand for UX designers, UX writers and researchers. And also because of the globalization, that global companies with a presence in India like Google, Microsoft, Uber have large teams focused on UX. So they are also hiring local talent to cater to regional needs.
Good news, dosto, we recently crossed 70 plus admits for students studying abroad with Fly with Sync powered by Admit Card. And there are only few consultancies which are AIRC credited by America, and I can proudly say we are one of them. And first of all, we give you discounts whether you want to take Duolingo English test or any English proficiency test for your study abroad journey, and we help you shortlisting the best scholarships for universities in US, Canada, wherever you want to study. So go ahead, check out all the free resources, including letters of recommendations, transcripts on the flywithsing.com website. Plus, get an opportunity for a call back immediately. Go check out.
How many clients you see from India itself and versus abroad? Like there are a lot of Indian clients actually looking for UX writers and designers.
Yeah, there are Indian clients as well as, of course, global companies as well. But Indian clients, I would say, the team size is less because you know that the pay scale for UX professionals is quite high. So not all Indian clients can afford that. So they have a small team size. Only that is the difference, I would say.
Incredible. And how you all got into UX? Like, first of all, like, especially Supriya, you didn't have any degree in UX, right? You wrote so many vlogs about it. So how did you enter the market?
Yeah, so I was working with a UX design studio. I joined there as a content strategist. And there I used to write blogs and articles about UX. So that created an interest in me. Okay, there is something called UX, what it is. And then I realized, though this is a new term, but actually everything is all about user experience. Even we travel for experience. Whatever products we buy, we do it for experiences. People don't buy products, people buy experiences. So this was not new. I think only the term was new for the market or for the people. So, and that's when I realized this is very interesting to understand users, their problems, and solving their problems through small words. Because in content writing, I was writing blogs and articles. Those are large content pieces. It is mostly for marketing and selling our products. But making products easier for users to use, it is very interesting, and that created an interest in me, and that's how I decided now, leaving content writing, I will move into UX.
Oh, incredible. There's a huge gap actually. People and engineers know how to make a great product, but they don't know how to sell it, how to research the best fit for the market. And I think as a UX, how much of the responsibilities is like finding that versus, writing for you personally?
So I would say writing is mostly it is content design. Why it is called design is because it is just not writing, but there are many things related to it. I mean, a UX writer writes only for 10% of their time. Mostly is about strategizing, then understanding user problems, ideating, brainstorming on that. Then also comes user goals, aligning the user goals with business goals. So that is very important. So when your user goals are aligned with the business goals, it becomes very easy to make the product useful at the same time market fit.
Incredible. Sagar?
Yes, yeah. So I was just wanting to talk. So basically, I really like what Supriya said about the experience. Like, that is the only thing which sells, and I completely agree with her because, as a kid, I only remember my experiences with different gadgets. It was not the gadget itself. It's nothing which, I mean, definitely, remember the gadget, but it's like under the hood, I don't care. But it's the experience which got me into things, right? So experience stays forever with you. So once a product is out in the market, there is no hand holding. And experience, the UX, the UI is what will handhold the user and create that memorable experience for them, so that you don't need any help. So that is the only thing which will sell. Um,
I remember Sagar, you shared the example जब आप AirPods को phone के पास लेके जाते हो, how it makes you feel. That is what UX is. It makes you like you are opening the AirPods yourself when you experience it on the iPhone. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a passive experience, but it's an amazing magical emotion, right? I mean, when I experienced it for the very first time, I was like, wow.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen this kind of an experience. So that was something groundbreaking. Even that small experience, I mean, it's just a pairing task flow, but that task flow stays with you forever. You know how it feels, and people copy it. And that's again one of the things, right? Companies copy that experience later on. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. Can you all please share your flow of creating a project for your client or for the company you work at? So how do you research the best market fit and deliver the UX project?
Okay, so for me, I would talk about when I'm working with a company, I'll share how we go about it. So whenever any requirement comes to me, like we need to design the content for this feature or something new that we are launching, the first thing I try to do is understand why we are doing it, because that is very important. Sometimes I have also noticed in my previous companies that the product managers come with some, just addition of some features or something just for the sake of doing it. And sometimes even we have to push them back that we don't need this. We don't need to invest our time and efforts and money into this. So understanding why we are doing it is very important. What are the user problems that we are trying to solve through this? That those things I try to understand. And if we have any user insights, if we have done any research, if there is a research team, and then I try to collect all that information, and by asking different questions, by getting the documents from the product managers, developers, or if the researchers are there, and then I study that, try to understand what kind PM is suggesting some solution, but whether this is the right solution or we can go with some other alternative solution. So I try to think about that, and I do my part of research as well as a UX writer, like what our competitors are doing, and even if non-competitors are there, how they're presenting those features, what are the use cases that are there, then what kind of content, tone, or voice they are following. And I also do some conversation mining. That is, I go on the Play Store or Google Store and see what the competitors or non-competitors, what users are talking about their products, what problems they are facing. So from that, I get some good information so that we can avoid those mistakes, what our other products are doing. And based on that, I create some document that, okay, these are the problems, these are my research points, these are the findings. And based on this, I think we should go with this solution. Then I go with the designer. Of course, we collaborate, we ideate and brainstorm on that. and then reach out to the PM that this is what we feel is the best possible solution. And then that's how we start working, like designing the user persona, user flow, identifying different use cases, and the designer start working on the wireframes. I work on the content. Sometimes there is a content first approach that wireframes are created later because it is content driven. The feature or the screens are content driven. In that case, what I do is I create wireframes and show my content how it will look in the UI. So that, because if I just write the error messages or tooltips, the stakeholders won't understand what I'm trying to showcase. So then that's how I do and present it to the team along with all the findings and the process that I have followed. And that then helps to convince them, because there is a lot of research, and when the content or the design is backed with strong research, it becomes very easy to convince the stakeholders.
So well said, because I think part of the job is being more of a listener than more of an action taker. Because if you understand the problems correctly of your client or of the team, you're able to take better actions. And I think, when you go to your team discussion with an open ear and ask all the problems they face, solutions come in a better way because you are listening to all the problems thoroughly. And number two advice you gave so well, I think, yeah, pretty much the biggest thing is listen carefully. And I think what I've seen is good engineers, the difference between good engineers in my team versus, junior engineers is कि उनको पता नहीं होता करना क्या है. Senior engineers know very well what to do. Half of the work is figuring out what to do, and that's what you said very clearly. And what about Sagar?
Yeah, so basically, my design process is very customized as per the projects. But I can give you a high level of how I work. So basically, as Supriya said, like the PMs come to us with requests, right? And then those requests are typically either small requests or large ones, like, in the form of, let's say, a vision projects or something which is more tactile, which is needed in like a short amount of time. So if it's a short amount of time project where, you need the project, let's say in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, it's going into the next sprint, I definitely make a point to do some kind of a research and understanding why this is important, right? And that research can be either an internal company research, talking to subject matter experts within the company, or external. So if I have enough time left for this project, I'll definitely reach out externally because, our customers are busy, right? So you have to spend a lot of time inviting them, talking to them. But, sometimes it's very convenient to just talk internally because there are subject matter experts on the team. So when you talk to them, you really get to know the real problem. So I feel we sometimes state a requirement as a problem, which is not a problem. This might just be something which is nice to have. So I really want to understand if it's a nice to have or is it a real problem users are facing? Because uske bina, if you're not able to do the task, then that's a real problem. So I really want to, I really filter that out first. I really want to understand, get into the nitty-gritty of things. And once the research session is done, then I do have a good understanding of what the next steps are. So I think that sometimes the next steps are just to create a high fidelity mockup and then talk about it with the team and get feedback and keep doing iterations again and again, keep changing, evolving the design, right? And then as I design, I also make sure I take those designs back to the subject matter expert for validation. Is this the right way to do it, etc. And some projects which need like visions or are some complex projects, I really start with pen and paper. I don't even go on to tools. I just draw and, get to the whiteboard, spend time and do things to understand the interaction, the UI components I'll be using, the experience, the feel of it. And then I move on to a low fidelity and a high fidelity if I have time. But in this entire process, one thing I make sure is how do I next evaluate my designs? So I will definitely come up with some KPIs, some success metrics for my designs. Like what's going to happen if I design this, my hypothesis. Will users be able to achieve this particular task, right? So the success metrics are definitely defined in the requirement gathering phase with the PM. So I collaborate just not with myself, with the PMs as well, to understand the success metrics. And then one, the success metric. So that is like the North Star for me, the success metric. So I kind of keep following that as I go, right? And see if the problem is getting solved. And then once that's done, once the feature is released, I definitely make sure that I talk to our customers once it's released to see how they feel about it. I just don't let it go. And I mean, I just want to make sure that I close the loop. So I really want to understand how customers are using. So I do have 20-minute feedback sessions with them over the calls and see, do you want to talk about it? Do you have any pain points, etc.? So when they give me some customer pain points, etc., then we go back and change it. So, the most important thing is, just closing that loop and making sure you keep evolving the feature instead of just shipping and designing it. So that is my overall process. But yeah, there are a lot of things I do more, but this is like a general track which I follow.
Incredible. You are actually representing the good principles of a senior engineer or senior UX developer, because you have to be independent. You have to take action as fast as possible. ऐसे खोया नहीं रहना कि करना क्या है. और the faster you take action, faster you take review, the better product you make. Awesome. And how did you all got the first UX opportunity? First of all, for Supriya, how did you get your first freelancing gig in UX? How was the experience? What were the challenges with the client?
Yeah, so I would say my first gig, it was very interesting that few years back, I had posted something on Quora. So somebody has asked a question about design ops, and I had answered that. So a co-founder who was going to create a platform, design ops platform, he reached out to me through LinkedIn saying that we are building a product for designers, which is a design ops platform. Would you be able to meet me once, because I would like to talk to you about that. Then we met and we talked about, he showed me what they are trying to build. And then he said, we need your help in this as a UX writer, if you can help. So that's when I got into it. I said, let's start small. He asked me to join them full time, but I said, I can't do it right now. It's very new because they haven't launched. It was just a idea. So I said, I can offer consulting service for now, and then we can think about it. So that's how my first gig I got as a consultant, actually.
Amazing. And कभी किसी ने सोचा भी नहीं होगा with Quora you can get an opportunity, right?
Even I never thought so.
So what would you say are the biggest blogging platforms for UX right now? Is it Quora still, or people say Twitter, or also known as X and LinkedIn right now? Would you say Quora is still top there?
No, I would say top, but yeah, Quora is one of the online platform because it's a community platform. So people usually go there and ask questions, and this kind of people who are searching for experts, they also go and search people there. And LinkedIn also one of them. And of course, networking, that also helps, I would say. So there are other online platforms as well, apart from Quora. But yeah, Quora has worked for me. So I don't know.
So what were the biggest challenges for you working with a client?
So for me, it was like, first thing what I did is, after understanding what they want me to do, I created a project plan so that we all are on the same page. I shared that project plan with them along with the deadlines. And that helped us, to stay on track and avoid as much less mistakes as possible, I would say. So I shared that project plan. We were on the same page, and first thing I started with was auditing their existing product, what they had built. It was a very rough product. So I said I will do the content audit for that. And while doing the content audit, of course, I found some UX issues as well. So I identified those, and that's how I started feature by feature, screen by screen, auditing their content and UX. And then after doing the audit, we started with actual work, like doing the improvising the UX content as well as the UX.
So it involved the same principles that you mentioned before, but how did you continue to improve? What were the imperfections in your career before, and how did you make them perfect?
Imperfections, I would say, before that I had done small freelance gigs. And I realized first thing is not having a project plan, just having a discussion and jumping into work. That was my mistake, I would say, and that I improved in this because this was a large gig. So I improvised that having a project plan with proper deadlines and bringing everybody on the same page. So that was my learning. And also in one of my other freelance gig, I found that, just by trusting the partner, you shouldn't go with it. So I have experienced that this shared that we need this kind of work. I said, okay, fine. We had a discussion and I just worked. I said 50% I will deliver the work and then you will, provide the compensation that whatever we had decided. But I found that sometimes people are like, no, we still want some changes, we need some improvements, and with that, we are not on the same page. The requirement was not clear. So I realized making the requirement clear and also letting them know through the project plan that this is what I'm providing. And even for iterations in the project plan, I provide that I will provide 2 iterations only, because the client can come up with, we need more improvement, we need it is a never ending loop. So I mention it clearly now that these are the charges, this is the plan, but only 2 iterations will be there. So this was my learning from previous gigs, that we should be very clear while discussing the requirement and also the deliverables.
So not having a big plan in the beginning is important so that you're flexible, right? That's the biggest key lesson too.
Yeah.
Incredible. How about you, Sagar? How did you get your first opportunity in UX after the degree?
Just one word, man, networking. Yeah. So I came to the Bay Area. I finished my Indian and local networking gigs, US gigs, in the Bay Area, networking events.
That's how we met.
Yes, that's how we met. Yes. So I just went there and learning never stops for me, right? So I went to one networking event where I just met a few folks. And then I went to the next networking event where I just learned about something new. And in the third, I met the guy from the first networking event who actually referred me to one of the companies. So networking was the only way for me. I mean, because again, I was, also, breaking through the market as a junior UX designer was really tough at that time. So I know that networking is the only thing which comes into play. And I definitely networked via LinkedIn, but I also made sure I went in person. I met people, right? So that's how I landed up my first gig. So yeah, it was an amazing journey, man. And I've never stopped networking since then. We also met in one of the networking events. I'm again going to one next week. So yeah, we should always network, because learning never goes out of fashion. You just either meet new people or you learn something new.
So true. In Bay Area especially, हर event में live hiring होती है. I saw so many events, like founders are also joining and also engineers are also joining, and they meet, so many founders and engineers meet at the events and hire really, really fast. So I think this is very, very important to join and go to as many events as possible. And India has so many events coming up now.
Yeah.
Right, Supriya?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, what are the job market trends you all see right now? Because AI trend is integrating everywhere. For example, Figma has integrated AI into their workforce, and even like into the UI. You can create UI with just a prompt now, even though they eliminated it because their weather app literally copied the weather app of iPhone. So that's why they had to remove that feature temporarily. But what do you all think that where this job market is going to go in UX? Is it all temporary? Is it overhyped or underhyped, or it's going to replace all of us as UX designers?
So basically, I think it's not going to go out of whack. I think it's all about perspective. So if you look at Figma plus AI, the integration which they have made, it is a good starting point for someone who is a novice, at least, right? Who the PMs can take over the prompt and type in something, and they at least get the starting point. I think we should look at it from a starting point perspective rather than really depending on it. You cannot depend on a prompt generated UI, because I think, end of the story is it might not be solving the problem you really want to solve, right? So learning from that initial mockups which the prompt generates, or taking it as an aid, or just looking at it and learning patterns of how the prompt is creating the UI is the I think is the key. AI can do multiple different things. It can probably, yes, replace graphic design. But, I feel humans are more capable of doing things than AI, because humans have emotions. They can react to last minute responses. They can change things on the go, which AI cannot do it. So I think AI should be just a learning tool for people, just an aid, just a reference, instead of just relying on it completely.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Sagar says, and I feel the integration of AI tools, if I'm talking about writing and design platforms, I think they offer numerous benefits, of course, like increased efficiency, there is improved creativity, data-driven insights are there. However, it also presents some challenges, I feel, like potential quality issues. Then there are some creativity constraints as well. Ethical considerations are not there because AI doesn't understand all these things. So, balancing the use of AI with human creativity, oversight, and ethical practices is very important, I feel, to leverage its advantages while mitigating its potential drawbacks as well. So, embracing AI as a supportive tool is great rather than a replacement. So I think that's how we can achieve more effective and innovative results.
And I think what Sagar said about graphic design, I think it's so true. There's a model called Flux, which is viral on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn too. Like on that, you can upload 10, 15 images and it creates our own photos like 100% accuracy. I don't see any mistake in my own photo. I can be Superman, I can be anyone I want to, and then I can upload that photo, put it in any photo to video model, and it's just me right there now. So I think graphic design is the biggest job which is maybe vanishing in this market. But I think UX is like such a big field in which research and finding the best market is so hard that GPT or ChatGPT or any other AI tool are not or very far from perfect in this scenario, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And now let's talk about the monetary aspect of it. So what are the biggest ways to monetize your UX skill? And if you all feel comfortable, can you all share, like, monetary wise, the trajectory, how much growth you've been getting every single year?
So monetizing UX skills, I think, can be achieved through different avenues. Like it depends on your expertise, interest, and also market needs. So there are freelance UX projects that you can do, then providing consulting services. There are full-time employments, specialized roles are there. And also new thing that has emerged is like creating and selling courses and ebooks as well. So that's how also you can monetize your UX skills. Then building or launching your own apps, offering boot camps and workshops as well. Then content creation through YouTube or blogs, public speaking. So I think there are different avenues to monetize these UX skills. And about trajectory, if you'll ask, I would say it depends. If you are in the same company, I'm talking about India, okay, though I have worked with global companies, but in India it works like if you are in the same company, you get almost 10 to 15% rise every year. But if you switch, then it becomes huge. Like by switching, you get almost 50%, 60%, and also sometimes 100% rise. That's what I have observed. So my trajectory have grown, especially after switching the companies, I would say.
Incredible. So freelancing is a bigger thing for you or switching companies?
Both I can say because so freelancing gigs are also like sometimes you get a very amazing opportunity in freelance. Like I mentioned, I got to work on a product right from the beginning, so I had all the liberty to design the content, to audit it, and even to create the content style guide, content design system. So it was a huge amount of work. So of course, it was a great opportunity, finances wise and also work wise. And I would say, working with companies, it is like it depends on the company. So in which kind of company you're working with, because I have seen that some people who are working with small startups, there you get very less, I would say they don't understand the value that you offer. And so those people also don't give you compensation wise that kind of hike that you deserve. So it depends on what kind of work comes to you. So sometimes it is freelance and sometimes it is switching to companies, because always switching to different companies doesn't work for you. Which company you are joining, what kind of product they have, and what kind of value you are offering, that also is important, because not every company will offer you whatever you ask for. You need to have that expertise and those skills that they need. Only then we can say switching helps.
Yeah, and especially when you mentioned making projects and apps, I think there are so many no-code tools. For a UX, the barrier to entry is almost zero now. So many no-code tools in which you can make a project, execute, find the best market fit, and then give it to your team or engineer so that they can develop and ship it out, right? What about you, Sagar? How do you think you can monitor, grow, and your trajectory?
Yeah, so unfortunately I cannot monetize much on this visa, which I'm on, which is H1B. So I cannot do that. That's not my trajectory. But what I do is I monetize myself. I invest more in myself, right? Learn and just upgrade my skills while I'm here is what I normally do. Because unfortunately on H1B I cannot earn passively. It's just my employer, so I invest on myself at the moment.
Incredible. And how do you invest in yourself then?
So basically, I've been doing a couple of things. So first of all, definitely networking is number one, which I've talked about. But there are a lot of things which I do apart from that. So I look at different books, right? I read different books. So Blinkist is one of the go-to apps I use, and you should check it out. It's pretty cool. So I know I'm like it's a busy life in the US. So what I do while I work, I listen to these books, and it's like a 15 to 25 minutes book summaries of all. I mean, I know it's a shortcut, but it definitely works. It like just gives you the takeaways from the book. So in a day I finish like 2 to 3 books on UX, on psychology, on human interactions, and that is really gaining. And not just, and you can also do some self development, right? It has a plethora of, like, it has like series of books categories so to choose from. So just bookmark it and just keep hearing it, and that's one of the ways I upgrade myself. And I think the second is podcasts. There are amazing podcasts out there on UX design and writing as well, which you can just listen to. And these podcasts are from like the design leaders. They talk about the certain topics. And I do a lot of Medium. So are you familiar of Medium platform?
Yes.
Yeah,
Medium
so I
blogging
read a lot
website.
of
Yeah.
blogs and stuff like that. So those are the things which I normally do. And also I love exploring different UX trends online to see how new products are coming up with the interfaces, right? Yeah, and I'm a religious visitor of the Apple keynotes, every keynote on the market. So I really go there and see how they sell. Basically designing is selling. This is like one of the saying, right? So basically, I love the way they sell products, right? Selling, if you know how to sell, you're a good designer, basically. So I normally learn that as well. So like, just invest in myself was just for me.
Talking about books, what are the most influential books or people who have influenced you in a way to make you who you are today?
That's a very broad question. There are multiple books, but I would say one of the books I love is a book called Build by Tony Fadell. He was one of the ex designer on Apple who was responsible for the iPod, and he built this book. And this book is so amazing. The book is itself called Build. It talks about the entire A to Z journey of the product, not just, so even including the legal instances, like how to deal with legal instances if something happens. So it actually talks about the entire product cycle, dealing with engineers, dealing with research, dealing with legal teams, etc. So it's an amazing book. So I think that has definitely influenced me. But there are other books as well.
Uh-huh. And how about you, Supriya? What has influenced the most to make you who you are today?
I haven't read many books on about UX or anything, but I follow Medium articles. I religiously follow, I would say, because whatever new articles, and I have subscribed to their newsletter, so I get it in my emails that whatever new articles people are publishing. Then I also follow people on LinkedIn. Some UX professionals, they really share amazing content, related to UX. There are some discussions going on. So I think I follow that. And I also go for different courses. For example, recently I took a course into um, designing content for dark patterns. So that was very interesting, though I knew how to do that because we usually do it, but I wanted to learn advanced about that. So I take some courses as well, like that, to, be updated on new, whatever upcoming trends are there, and new knowledge.
Yeah, any names of people you follow on Medium or LinkedIn you can share?
Um, I don't remember all the names, but there is a UX writer. She has written a book called Strategic UX Writing. Her name is Tori. I don't remember her surname, but I really follow her. Then there is a lady called Gig Girl. She has her page as Gig Girl. Slater Kids, I guess. So, and I also follow a YouTuber. She's Katrina Grimm. She is also into UX writing. So I follow some of these people. There are many others, but I don't remember everybody's name right now. But yeah.
Awesome. Now, the most important and the final phase of this podcast, that is, if you had to start today again, how would you build your portfolio? What would you write about on Twitter, LinkedIn to show off your work? How would you sell yourself as a UX person today?
Okay. So if I start now, I actually landed up into UX accidentally. So I didn't do much as such to come into UX field. But yeah, to stay relevant, what I did is, and how I built my portfolio, because I feel portfolio is a very important part of being a professional, because that is how you can showcase your work. So what I would say is, if I want to enter this field now, first thing I would do is I would try to learn as much as I can about UX, not only writing, but UX design, UX research, user testing, UX writing, everything that is related to UX. Because today it is not like you can't be just an expert in one field. For example, if I am a UX writer and if I'm just expert in UX writing, it is not going to help me as a professional even to grow. And also to perform and to stay relevant in the market. So first thing, I would try to learn everything related to UX, maybe by taking different courses or by reading and learning through whatever ways, or taking mentorship from different experts and networking with other expert professionals. All that I would try to do. And to build a portfolio, if I get to, work on some freelance projects, that is, of course, helpful to build case studies. But if it is not possible, I would reach out to NGOs. If I don't have, the market is down, there is nobody's offering me a job or any work, I would also approach to NGOs, whoever are they are having whatever their products, and we can offer free services to them, and that's how I can build my case studies. And I also suggest those who try to or want to enter in this field, I always suggest them that whatever apps we use, when you want to enter into UX field, you need to have that UX mindset. Just having skills is not enough. You need to always carry that mindset with you. So as Sagar mentioned, while using AirPods, he realized he loved that experience. So like that, we should enjoy and understand each and every product, like what kind of experience it is giving. So whenever we are using any apps or any products, I would try to revisit and refine the content if I want to be into UX writing. And if a designer, I would like to redesign those screens. That's how I will try to build my case studies. And of course, whatever freelance gigs we get, the most important thing to have a strong portfolio, I feel, is I have seen that many people try to add so many things in a case study. That is too overwhelming. When you are giving interview, it is like nobody is interested in looking at your huge case study, and they won't also understand that case in one go, because you have worked on that feature for many months, but you are showcasing them in just half an hour. So the important thing I feel in the case study for a portfolio is showing the problem statement, then your target audience, what were the challenges that you faced while working on it, and the solution that you provided, the why behind the solution, that why this solution was provided, and what was the business and user impact on it. So I try to focus on these points in my case study rather than showcasing the entire process, like I defined this user persona, these were the emotions and all the journey mapping and all that stuff. Even if I have added that in my case study, I don't showcase it, because to keep it minimal, it helps them to understand the case. So that's how I would say. And also, having diverse case studies in your portfolio is very important. If you are having case studies just of one kind of product, like all fintech products or fintech features only, it is not going to help the stakeholders to understand how diverse UX professional you are. Because I have seen many interviewers, they ask you like, okay, you have worked in this kind of domain, but our product is different than what you have worked in. So how will you approach? How would you understand it? So for that reason, having a diverse portfolio and impactful is very important.
So jack of all trades is definitely better than master of one, because it is much better than master of none. So that is the biggest strategy to use here.
Yes, yes. I feel we are not taught the right phrase, Since childhood, we have just learned jack of all trades and master of none. But actually, the complete phrase is jack of all trades and master of none is not better than a master of one. It is like that. So we should be jack of all trades, actually.
Since most of your journey was also about content writing on Quora and LinkedIn, what would you write about if you had to start now? What trends you would follow now if you had to write about?
Okay, so I would say I would try to write something that will help me to learn. So for example, if I need to create some content, I will try to create a content for which I will try to learn myself, to go deep into it. And secondly, it is going to help people as well. So it should be useful to me and as well as to others. So that kind of content I will try to create.
Any topic idea, any example you can share?
Yeah, for example, like recently I am working on a series. I posted this versus that on LinkedIn. So when I do that, like for example, today I posted about whether to use login or sign in. So people use, usually get, what to use, whether login is right or sign in. And sometimes they use it just like that. We can use any from this. So this kind of content, for this, I study myself, like which is the right one, in which scenario, what kind of terms should be used. So in this case, I also learn and I can share that knowledge with others. So this is one of the examples I will say.
And how about you, Sagar? So if you had to start again, how would you start your journey?
Yeah, so I think if I had to start again, as Supriya mentioned, I completely agree with her. Changing the mindset first is very important. Being observant is the most important. Because if you don't have the mindset, then, it will be really challenging for you to solve problems for others. Solving problem for yourself is very easy, but solving for someone else is the most challenging. So being very observant in what people do, how do they interact with the app. So when I open a new app or I just install a new app from the App Store, I look at it from a very high level perspective. What is it really trying to solve the problem I installed it for, right? So I just being observant on certain things and also asking the question, can I improve this, right away? And mentally, you don't have to do anything. Just being that observant guy to see okay, I can probably change this, though that really helps long term. And creating and adopting this mindset will definitely fast track your UX career. I wouldn't say it will make you a UX designer, but definitely fast track it. But at the same time, you also need to learn certain techniques, right? So basically, I see techniques in two different fashions. First is frameworks, which people teach you. Okay, this is what you need to do, interviews, contextual interviews, or do some affinity mapping. But it is really the application of it. So in what situations you need to apply those techniques is the most important. I feel learning framework is super easy. You just Google it up and you see the definition and how it works and what it fetches you. But how do you implement it in your design process is most important. And how do you do that is by learning from people's experiences. So for example, let's say Supriya has, just by talking to Supriya, I get to know her design process. But those situations, if she can highlight, okay, this is what happened and this is the technique I use to overcome that challenge, is the most important thing for you. So let's say you use those frameworks in different situations, then you have a win-win situation. You will definitely go forward in your design process. So learning the framework is definitely the starting point, but also how to apply it and learning from people's design experiences is the. So just keep talking to people. I would recommend to everyone, go to networking events, ask them what's the design process, how do you solve problems, and you will get some nuggets out of it which you can use. And I should have done this long ago. I had no clue about it. So I would say if I want to restart, I would definitely start with this. And then definitely masters or a degree helps. But again, having this thing ready in your pockets is the most important.
And what about portfolio? How would you target your portfolio now in 2024 if you had to recreate it?
Yeah, I would. So basically, I have done a lot of portfolios in my life. As a student, like made the beginner mistake and everything. But I think today, if I want to do a portfolio, I would first focus on the impact of the product as a starting point. Like, I created this feature, it was launched, but what did it do, right? And from a business perspective, it is really important to also keep in mind that you're working for a business. So what is the real impact? It made easy. The task was easier for the users. वो सब चलते रहेगा. But like, what really is happening with your feature, right? Did it work? Did it not work? What is the impact? What is the adoption rate because of your feature? So all those things needs to be definitely highlighted. And other than that, it's all the design process, as Supriya mentioned, highlight the challenges, the problem statement, and talk about your design process, etc. That is like I think a standard thing, but also focusing on the impact is the most important. What happened after you shipped it, right? And if it didn't work, what did you do to improve it, right? Is the key, basically. So.
Incredible. In every resume, every portfolio, I think the biggest advice people give is metrics to show impact. And that is missing in still many resumes. And if you add that, it makes you unique.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. And last, Sagar, I forgot to ask you, like, in terms of your trajectory of growth in Bay Area, if someone starts their career, how much percentage growth they can expect in the same company or switching company in UX? Yeah. Like 20%, like something like that.
Yeah, I think a 35 is a good number from what I see, and it might be completely different for different roles and different experiences. So from what I see, I think 35 to 40 is a good number.
So 35% monetary growth every year.
Yeah, and it only depends if you're joining a startup or if you're joining like a company like a tech giant. It totally depends. So I wouldn't say there is a single number, to be honest. It completely. So sometimes they tell you, like, in the job roles that they need someone who has 7 years experience, but someone with a 3-year experience who is as good as a 7-year might also get that jump. So it completely depends on the individual and the company you're getting into. But I would say, on average, in a startup at least, 35, 40 is a good number. But then if it changes, like the ball game changes to a tech giant, then it's a different story altogether. So it is dependent on things. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Supriya and Sagar, for taking out time. It was wonderful learning for you all today. Go everyone, check out their LinkedIn in the description below. And thank you again.
Yeah.
Anu.
See you, Arnold.
Great discussion.
Yeah. See you all. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
I just wanna be your Superman.